problem we have in America. And I think it's time for people to start giving those hard lessons. You know, when we expanded westward, this is the story I like to tell you. Nobody went to the government and asked for a wagon. Nobody went and asked for a horse, a bag of flour. Nobody asked for somebody to build a bridge over the Mississippi River. They found a way. And I think right now, I'll give you a great example. How many people remember when Spirit Airlines said they were going to charge for carry-on bags? And then all of a sudden, Charles Schumer up there jumps in, well, we're going to have an investigation of this. Guess what? If I don't want to fly on Spirit Airlines, I won't fly on Spirit Airlines. But that is the problem we have. It is what I call a nanny state. And we have got to start having leaders that say, it is going to be tough for a couple of years. But this is the vision that I have for America, not in every election cycle. But this is a vision for 20, 30, 40 years. When was the last time you heard someone talk about what America will look like 30 or 40 years?
Reagan.
Okay? Well, that guy.
He said Bill Ayers.
But that's the problem. Leaders with vision. No one can run your business without a vision. But what we have are people that tell you what you want to hear every election cycle to get elected. And that has brought us to the point that we're in right now. Now, the first question, okay, let me remember. What was the first question?
Executive fiat.
Let me tell you something. Someone has to stand up and look the president eyeball to eyeball and say no. 22 staffers for the First Lady. I think we're up to 40 czars. I mean, somebody's got to say no. And once again, it comes back to having people have the courage to do that. Yes.
Hi, Alan.
Hey.
Jupiter. How are you?
I'm doing great.
I just wanted to bring a piece of information to your attention. You know, during the healthcare bill, they held up England as the single payer and the best way for us to have a healthcare
That's
system.
working real great.
Well, I read the New York Times because I want to see what's happening on the other side. And there was a brief article that they are now taking patient care away from the bureaucracy and putting it back into the doctor's hands, which is the beginning of reprivatizing the healthcare system. We are going in the opposite direction.
Well, you know, it's not just that. Let's go back and talk about economics. I remember people remember the G20 conference in Canada just, I guess, what, about 3 weeks ago? Isn't it interesting that a European chancellor was schooling and tutoring our president on economic policies? Who would have ever thought that Europe would be doing that? I mean, we are going in the opposite direction. Now let's talk this healthcare thing. How many people here were in the military? That's socialized healthcare. Am I right? And it didn't work so good. Okay? That's why I have to tell you, I try to stay healthy, I try to stay in shape, because the last thing I want to have to do really is go over to the VA. Okay? And now think about it. The government owns 4 medical programs. It owns Medicaid, Medicare, the S-CHIP program. Everyone knows what the S-CHIP program, State Children's Health Insurance Program. Okay, let me tell you a little about the S-CHIP program, what happened. The S-CHIP program, government program that was brought about so that children in a household, poverty level and below, children could have free health insurance. But then all of a sudden in January of 2009, guess what happens with S-CHIP? S-CHIP is redefined. Poverty level goes from $32,000 to $83,000. And the age of a child goes from 18 to 26. See, this is what happens when good intentioned programs for the American people, all of a sudden bureaucrats, government comes in, creates victims, and they take it outside its original mandates. And then of course the last government program, medical program, is the VA. And not going very well. I mean, I just read an article where veterans' death benefits are being tied up by some of these insurance companies. And this is something that the government is supposed to be overseeing. So they needed to fix those 4 programs first of all before they start trying to expand this thing where they're going to have Medicare or Medicaid for everybody. Which once again, 11 new taxes, 111 new government agencies. How much can you continue to put on, not every American, right now it's only 53%. And if they get that other 3%, it's half and half.
When you have an agenda.
Okay, who's got the mic?
Hello, Colonel, and congratulations on being a 4th Infantry officer.
Oh, steadfast and loyal.
There we are. From 3 wars ago, me too. I'm hoping that as you go forward in your bid to become elected, that you're aware that the best weapon I think that we have available to help you is the absentee ballot, and that your campaign has a game plan for getting an absentee ballot into the hands of everybody here.
Yes.
Times 10.
And
that will work, times
Yes.
10. Good luck to you.
And, that's a very important part. Let me go back and talk about what happened in the 2008 election. A lot of people didn't think that we would be able to achieve what we did achieve. I mean, it was really an 8-month campaign. We raised $583,000 all on our own. Ron Klein had $2.2 million. We finished up with 45.3%. And that was because we beat him on absentee ballots. We beat him on election day. But he had such a powerful groundswell. Remember the 2008, the early voting, that's where he got his lead on us. We've got to beat him in all phases this time. We got to have a much better ground game. And it really does start with each and every one of you down in your precincts. I mean, one of the things we're going to sit down and talk about this week in my campaign is identifying each and every precinct and start assigning precinct captains and lieutenants and figuring out how do we penetrate in each one of those precincts and understand where we're strong, where we're not so strong, so we can properly prioritize the resources. I want you to understand something. This is not my campaign. It's your campaign. I go to be your representative. I'm not going to Washington, D.C. looking like a NASCAR driver. Y'all know what I mean, patches everywhere. The strength of this campaign, in this election cycle, we have raised $3.5 million. We're the #1 challenger race in this entire country for fundraising. But when you do the analysis, 96% of our contributions individually. The average contribution, $86. That is what is driving people crazy in Washington, D.C. because they can't understand how can you do that and not be up there begging all the PACs. Because it's about bringing a message to the American people and letting the American people know that you're the stakeholder in this campaign, not me. Sir.
Yeah, I just wondered what you think of all the tariffs that we are throwing away that we should be collecting. And another thing, when are they going to throw that rag that they call the American flag out of Congress and put the American flag back in there?
Okay, you got to help me out. Which? Okay. Well, I got to go. I have to go back and study history, and I'll make sure I get the right flag etiquette up there. And I think one of the things we have to do is not just the tariffs, but we have to understand there's a difference between free trade and fair trade. Okay? China is not our friend. And with the collapse of the Soviet Union, China paid attention to that because we defeated the Soviet Union economically. And that's the economic war that we're engaged in. And if we're not smart with how we have our trade agreements, with how we use our tariffs, they're going to bury us. And the interesting thing about the trade surplus that China has developed over us, who will have the world's largest blue water navy in about 8 to 10 years? Who controls both sides of the Panama Canal? Who is building a port facility in Costa Rica? Who is building a port facility right across 50 miles away from us in Bahamas? Who is buying up leases to do offshore oil drilling, which is going to end up being slant drilling into our continental shelf? That's the danger. If we're not careful about, as you say, the tariffs and understanding free trade versus fair trade. But I'll check into that about the flag and I'll make sure that's squared away. Okay?
Colonel West. Question as far as the health
Hey,
care.
I gotta tell you something. Tim used to be a VJ on VH1. This guy has a voice like, I don't know what.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. We enjoyed a breakfast for the YMCA in Boca Raton together. One of my concerns is the healthcare situation, and that it has passed, and that fragments of it will be implemented at different times. And the other thing that is extremely scary is there are things in that bill that nobody knows that will be slipped up.